Come on in, grab a seat. We're about to get started in a couple of minutes.
Reception. Oh, thanks anyway. Maybe someone needs glasses.
Some more lost property. Anyone lose a pair of glasses in a leather case? Black glasses. They were just handed in just now. So anyway, if anyone knows someone, come and see us. And this brooch is still in my possession that was lost last night. It is very nice. It's not diamond though, unfortunately. But if anyone knows who's lost that, come and see me. I reckon it's close enough. Michael and I were just chatting before the meeting with Troy. Michael's our chairperson, Troy is our timekeeper, and we're talking about how miraculous it is that we are all here sober when humans like us have been crushing grapes for 9,000 years. People like us who've been affected by the disease of alcoholism have been kicked to the curb, the last, the lost and the least, for 9,000 years. And we get to be born in a period of time that's this big compared to 9,000 years where there's a solution to what we've got. Because prior to 1935, there was no solution to alcoholism. And I don't know whether that makes you feel grateful, but it makes me feel very grateful. And I can't wait to hear you all share about your miracle about getting sober. So I'm going to hand the meeting over to Michael, who's going to call speakers. Have a great meeting.
Wow. Welcome to the Miracles of Recovery meeting of the 2025 Australian National Convention. My name's Michael. I'm still an alcoholic. Again today, I can't believe it. And I'm not a member of a home group, but I have recovery in Melbourne. The preamble, Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We're self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And we're using a time card system, and with a view to having everyone participate at the convention, we're asking members to share the time. So if you're already shared this weekend and we ask you to consider others, and you may like to decline so others have an opportunity. We have a time card system, and we'll flash the 1 minute to go. They're 5 minute shares. 5 minutes is tough to talk about recovery, but how your recovery's gone. But do your best. We won't throw you off. So we'll flash the 1 minute. Troy's going to time, and he'll flash up a 1 minute time card, and then we'll thank you when your time's up. And I'm going to be calling speakers from the floor. I can't see you all, and funny enough, I don't know all your names. So the people whose names I do know and who haven't shared, you're in trouble, or you will get called. The people who know me, and so we might kick off the meeting, and I'm going to ask Jenny to start us.
Thanks. Hi everyone, I'm Jenny, I'm an alcoholic, and the miracle is I am sober today, and thanks to a fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, my higher power, sponsors and people who have shown me the next right thing as I've, come into AA and, wow, just got a brand new life. I was just thinking, the miracles for me, it's like the seconds and inches. I heard about that early in my sobriety, not just with Bill and Bob, the seconds and inches of the connections. But, I got sober because I had a walking, talking big book in my life that I wasn't aware of, that she was in Alcoholics Anonymous. And when I rang her desperate one night, didn't know she was in AA, I just knew she didn't drink and that she was happy about it, and she was in the same career as myself, and she had a husband, she had all the things in her life that I had that were hanging on by a thread. But she wasn't drinking. And, she took me to my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous and it changed my life forever. My home group is on Awakening. It's online 5 days a week and in the mornings and on Retiring at night on a Sunday and Thursday night. And as a result of, just being shown, taken through the book and continuing this, it is really nerve-wracking up here, actually. Just taking this thing a day at a time and being shown the next right thing. I don't have to know today, which is good, and I don't have to share perfectly, which is fabulous. And all I need to do is share my experience, strength, and hope. And I didn't know how to come home from work at the end of the day and not have a drink to make it all okay. I didn't know how to be a wife, a sober daughter. I didn't know any of that stuff. And as a result of coming here and, as I said, keep saying, doing the next right thing, I've been able to be, not perfectly, but, the wife I always wanted to be and the daughter I always wanted to be. And I get to pass this on. I get to share my experience with other, women that, had the same issues that I did, that just didn't know how to navigate life sober. And, I haven't really talked about my higher power, but, in saying that, I had no background religiously or spiritually before I got to the rooms, and I had no idea it was a spiritual problem. And that my best way of throwing everything at my life just wasn't making it work. And, today I have a solution that works under any and all circumstances. And the one thing I know today is, I treat myself like a newcomer. Fortunately, I've been sober February the 20th. It was 24 years this February, a day at a time. And miracles, not only did I get a brand new life, I got a brand new marriage. I thought, that was all gone. I'm still married to the same guy, and that's a miracle in itself. And, I'm just grateful that I get to come to another convention and hear from other people, and I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Santosh, did you want to share?
Hi, I'm Santos, an alcoholic. I just forgot my score today. Generally, I identify myself with the number of days of sobriety, which is, I'm going to be 4 years in next month, 1 day at a time. But if you transfer that, it's around somewhere 1460. Not out. That's a cricket term. So, and now I'm telling about the two situations where in my life I'll get the miracles I've got, and what is the difference, I can present it to you here. So normally I learned this after being sober, that every night, around 100,000 people wipe out from this world by a natural phenomenon called death. So if we are alive and taking breath, that's miraculous. There's no doubt about that. Are you an alcoholic or doesn't? God doesn't discriminate. But what is the difference when we are an alcoholic and under the program? We consciously know that this is miracle happened. So, give an example, in 2018, on my high drinking days, I developed a crazy habit. I'm a garden variety drinker. I didn't had any family problem, anything to go drive to drink. I just started drinking, and it's fun in Australia when I came. And they just gone up, and I didn't know where to stop. Lied to my parents, my lovely, beautiful wife sitting here, 1,000 lies. I don't know what to do. I could not stop. Had many problems in job, everywhere. I was a mess. I was chaotic. And I tried some spiritual ways. I agree. It was success for 2-3 months. But not after that, because that was not a fellowship. I was alone in that spiritual path. So coming to this incident, I love Bondi Beach on those days. I used to sit down on Bondi and Kusi, and after lunchtime and afternoon, me and another friend, we go and smoke cigarette, drinking beers and things, and looking all the bikini girls. That's all we do. Not telling anybody, not harassing anything, but just getting destroyed for us for no reason. So slowly I developed that habit of going and diving into the ocean. So the waves crash on my back and I feel relaxed. And the next kick is the next beer. But I didn't knew the power of the ocean. And one evening on Bondi Beach, I was chasing the wave, and I'm not a good swimmer at all. I had 6 500 ml cans, and I was chasing the wave, and nobody. It was a winter evening, and suddenly I can't touch the floor. And I was taken away, and the waves were keeping higher, and I started drinking water. I turned around, and I saw the Bondi Pavilion lights were getting smaller, and I'm looking my death in my hand. That's a miracle how I survived. There is only one surfer there. That's where the God comes. And the surfer came and told me, Santos, I can still remember this word. He put his eyes on my eyes, said, Santos, you're a lovely boy. Okay, just hold it. Don't hold to me. I will try to survive you. And the story is that he found, I was just about to leave my last breath. He came. I was waving. I could not speak. I could not yell. I was just reminding, I don't know what I have done, God. I'm just drowning. I was thinking to leave my breath and getting down. Anyway, there is a surf life rescue. He came and took me out with this guy's help. Within 5 days of shock, I started again drinking. No thankful to God. Everything I forgot. But a similar incident happened on 28th of February, and me and my lovely wife were driving to Newcastle for the AA function that was happening, and a truck hit and run. I was driving. I could have died. What I was doing? I was going to AA meeting, small convention, something, AA rally. But after 1-2 hours of frustration and thing, thank you very much, I'll finish in 30 seconds. With frustration, with police, insurance, and all these things, all the tools I have learned from here got me to grounded. Within 1 day, I was feeling like the most valuable person in this earth, because I don't care about the police now. I don't care about the insurance company. I was having resentment about the driver who hit and run. It was going for 24 hours and it's calmed down. I was in the ocean. I was slowly flipping and swimming. Then this penny dropped. I said, God, I got a new life. Thank you. That's all, my friends.
Okay, I apologise for pointing because I can't see. I would like the lady with the jumper tied around her neck. Would you like to share? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Emma and I'm an alcoholic. You really don't just see the first two rows. I think, I really wasn't expecting to share, but I was at an AA meeting with my sober mum who's been in the rooms for over 2 decades on Friday morning, thinking, how crazy is this that this is my existence on the Friday morning of a long weekend? Because a year and a bit ago, I would have just been absolutely obliterated, doing and saying things that I would just never do or say sober, and losing my dignity for 4 straight days. And it's just so different now. Like, waking up this morning, knowing that I'm coming to an AA convention again, like on a long weekend day, is just unbelievable to me. And this was never. I came to AA to stop drinking, and I never thought about any of the other gifts or miracles that would happen alongside that. And I've learned through this program that it's not just physical sobriety, it's mental and spiritual. And that is just awesome to me that I get to be here, and I'm so happy to be here. That's the other thing, like, I'm actually so happy. I heard someone share the other week that he feels like immensely different about the same things in his life. And I was just like, wow, that's just 100% true. My situation hasn't changed. My material things that I used to think were so important to me. I used to think if I make this amount of money, I'll be happy, or if this happens, I'll be happy. None of that's changed, but all that's changed is this program, and I just feel completely different about every single thing in my life, and I could not be more grateful. So thank you.
I come to a lot of conventions and go to a lot of weekends away and stuff like that, and I do it with the same person, and so I'd like to invite Don to come up and share.
Good afternoon, I'm Don, I'm an alcoholic, Michael's PA. My sobriety date's the 20th of May 2009, and my home group's Mitcham Daily Reflections. And it's a miracle, I guess, that I'm here. It's a miracle that I, embraced Alcoholics Anonymous. I was a fall-down, blackout drunk. I was this shy, awkward kid, and then picked up that drink and, had that transformation and became obsessed and, obviously was affected by the phenomena of craving. Once I picked up that drink, I couldn't stop. And, it was a significant part of my life and a significant part of my downfall. It enabled me to get out of myself, drinking and projecting on others what I thought they wanted me to be, and also, there was a problematic behaviour, and there was hostility, and there was punch-ups and lock-ups, and inappropriate behaviour, and all that came with my alcoholism. And at 44 years of age, I came to my first meeting on a Sunday morning. It was a shaking, shivering mess, and it was a miracle that there was someone had been put in my life and was speaking about going to meetings, and the seed was planted and I went to a meeting. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I could just see my life getting smaller and smaller. And evaporating in front of me, and all my friends had, progressed and moved on, and I could see their lives enlarging, and I was this hedonistic Peter Pan that just never grew up, and full of fear and selfish, self-centered, and I had no solution. I had no kind of concept of recovery. I'd never done anything, never trying to, go on any quest or journey to transform my life. And, I was dying, and I was broke, and I was living back at my parents' house, and, relationships had imploded, and I was at war with neighbours, and I was skating on thin ice at work. And, I could pinpoint all these problems was to my boozing and my drinking and my thinking. And I just went to a meeting. I had to give it a go, and their people were kind, and they encouraged me, and they told me to keep coming back. I'd been a guy that had been banned from hotels and rejected from restaurants, kicked out of everywhere, always full of guilt, shame and remorse, always, as it's been said, strict of dignity and credibility, and, I was dying. And that meeting, I sat in and I wasn't in a great shape. I was bloated and covered in psoriasis, yellow eyes, and still my head was quite, giddy from the night before. And I was encouraged to keep going back, and and the message of hope was there, and the identification was there. And I went to another meeting, and then I went to another one, infrequently, but over the first 2 or 3 weeks, I was just testing the waters, but I didn't drink. I smoked a bit of weed, and I had to change my sobriety date down the line, but not much. But I just didn't really understand, what I was. I was a stranger in a strange land for a long time because I had no preparation. But I realised there was something here, and after a month or so, I bought a book. It was suggested I buy a book, and I was right on the edge, and I kind of read that book defiantly, because the person that asked me suggested it to buy the book, just read the stories at the back. But I read the whole thing cover to cover, but I didn't retain a lot, and I realised there was something in the book. There was something here, particularly about service and about helping others. And then I did what was suggested. I got a home group, I got a sponsor, I did regular and frequent meetings, I got a service position. I went through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous with my sponsor, and there was a shift. There was a spiritual experience. There's something I never felt before, and I sincerely mean that. And it's a miracle that, a life without faith, a life without any consideration for others has now been transformed because of Alcoholics Anonymous. And more importantly, I have a primary purpose now, and that's to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. So thank you.
Once again, I'm going to do some pointing. The lady in the front on the inside row, that's the one. Oh, okay, thank you. The lady with the rabbit ears over there, that would be wonderful.
Hi, I'm Katie, I'm an alcoholic. So grateful to be here and to be able to wear these rabbit ears. Miracles. Before this recovery, sobriety, I'd end up in psych wards because I couldn't. The obsession to drink was there every day. I could not stop thinking about drinking. And I'd be at AA meetings, and I'd be so fearful that if I wasn't at a meeting, I was damned to pick up a drink. And I went to a few funerals, and it was just so scary, knowing that I was going to die, but also knowing that I was going to drink. my sobriety date is the 20th of October 2016, and that's 4 days after my 25th birthday. That birthday was very lonely. The party had stopped. I attended my first meeting back in 2013, and I was like 21 or something, and being in the city reminds me of a lot of places that I used to go. And, I'd go to backpackers, and I wasn't a backpacker. I'd go to uni parties, and I was never able to go to uni. So, the best one was I was never invited to weddings, and in this recovery, I'm now married. I attended my first wedding in this recovery. I just wasn't invited places, but yeah, going around the city, like recognising bars that I've drank at a long time ago, and I'm so grateful I'm not here. I'm a recovered bogan. I started off this recovery with 2 odd thongs, one Haviana, one Kmart, one possibly different sizes, but didn't want to let go of the Haviana because that was worth $20. And I wasn't responsible for anything. I couldn't brush my hair, I couldn't brush my teeth. The only thing I could eat, I thought I was smart because I'd grab an extension cord into the lounge room and hook the toaster up, and I'd sit there with the driver, not tell her. Anyway, so that was me, and as you can see, I've now got a sobriety baby. The miracle is that I'm sane. I have not had the thought, desire, or need to pick up a drink, a drug, or a slap on the pokies, or a punt on the dogs, or pick some numbers, and I'd do all that at once. I was mad. Over the past 8 and a bit years, there's been a lot of highs and some really low lows. Got to the point not too long ago where I'd be sitting at the back of meetings, hoodie over my head, just so ashamed, of what I was feeling, because it got to that point of thinking that this one here wasn't enough reason for me to stay alive anymore because I stopped working this program. Not by choice. I didn't choose to stop. Life got a little bit busy, a little bit big, because I was unemployed and unemployable, and, the only way that I could be sober was by living inside these rooms. And so I grew this life, and I'm really grateful I'm not like that today. I'm sober. I haven't self-harmed in 8.5 years, which is amazing. And I'm here today, and I'm able to be of service. 2 years ago, I was ignoring calls, I was ignoring texts. I just didn't want to be of service to anyone or anything, and it's only because of this program, because of the 12 steps that I worked early in sobriety. I started working steps of 1 month and 5 days sober, and it took me 2 weeks. I know that isn't everyone's experience, but because of that experience in early sobriety, I've been able to stay sober this time, and I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Well, I used to take my kids to meetings, and my home group was a big book meeting, and when we read the family afterwards, my kids would say, "I guess you're not sharing today, Dad, because we're your share," and that's that isn't it a miracle of recovery. So Troy turned 4 years sober today, and to make this complicated, if you set the timer now, you can share for 5 minutes. Thank you.
5 Thanks a lot, Michael. I shared at the last meeting, though. He doesn't care. All right, I'm trying alcoholic. Hey, and I better stick to my virtues on time. Just so good to be here. It's just such a miracle. My drinking journey was a progression, and it took me to some dark places. It started taking me out mentally. I used alcohol to cope with pain, and I just, the more I drink, the worse things get. And being alcoholic, I just can't stop. And I went into a lot of my journeys, institutions. I've been into, hospitals, rehabs, countless times, and psych units. And I never knew what happened. I couldn't picture what happened. It's just that I'm doomed, that insanity of drink. And I was baffled and broken, and I got a message that seek out a group in Caringbah at Unity, and seek out a member, and I went to my first meeting there. And a few years before that in rehab, I went to my first meetings in Kogarah, and I think that sowed the seed of my recovery. But getting to Caringbah was a game changer. I got a sponsor. I started digging into the steps, going to meetings, and bits in my head felt like I'm not welcome, I'm less than. And I always felt like less than. And the rooms that AA's taught me I can be okay to be me. I don't have to be perfect. And I started to feel love from my home group, love from my sponsor. And there were times when I did drink again, but I came back. And if you're a newcomer, my journey teaches me that there's hope. Just be open. And I've been able to get sober from the love of others and the kindness of a man that's given me his time to take me through the steps, and I've been open to the spiritual experience, and it came, and sometimes like that obsession, which was so powerful, the anxiety attacks, the panic attacks, it just started to wane. I still get anxiety. I still feel pain, but I can surrender each day. And now I'm going through I'm taking others through the book, and it's a beautiful thing. I would say the most amazing journey of my life was getting sober. It's taught me to be okay with me, and my mum's sick, she's got dementia, and it's pretty bad, and Dad's got it too, but I can be there for her, I can help her, put her to bed, and just see her smile, and I can be there as a sober son, and that's the most beautiful thing. I'm just so grateful to be in the rooms, and thanks for asking me to share.
The lady in the black down on 5 rows in from the front. That's you. Oh, sorry, I'm blind and I'm old.
Hi everyone, I'm Carmel and I'm an alcoholic. God, this room's beautiful. Thank you for the stories I've heard already. They've been absolutely wonderful. The miracle for me, I didn't know, believe it or not, that I was an alcoholic. I just thought I was insane. And my friend was alcohol. Alcohol helped me, minor tranquilizers helped me, and until they didn't. And when you're on a central nervous system depressant, you just get more and more depressed. I was an oblivion seeker. I kept doing overdoses just to run away from my life. I had 2 gorgeous little daughters, but they didn't factor into the insanity of my alcoholism. So I decided, in my unwisdom, that the only solution for me, because I couldn't seem to function as a human being in the world, I didn't have what it took to be a human being in the world, that I would die. So I amalgamated a whole lot of drugs and alcohol, great huge thing of port and a couple of packets of this and that. It was a lethal dose. And I took it and I was so happy. And I was in the toilet and a friend in AA, who'd only just recently got into AA, came and broke down the door, put me in the car and took me to McKinnon Unit in Rozelle Hospital. This is in May 1979. And when I got to McKinnon, they realised that it was a lethal dose, so they sent me to RPA. And during the night, they thought I was going to die, which was my plan, but I didn't. They saved me. They looked for next of kin, but anyway, I was sent to a psychiatrist. This was one of many. And he, wisely, I don't know who he was, he said, go back into McKinnon and finish the rehab there. Thank God, because not many psychiatrists back in 1979 were that wise. So I did, and I went to McKinnon, and I learnt that I was an alcoholic. And it was such a relief to know that I was an alcoholic. Gave you a little piece of paper when you left that said, Carmel is suffering from alcoholism. I was so happy because I didn't know what was wrong with me, and they told me what was wrong with me. And in that week, that's the one Archie McKinnon was named after. It was named after him, and I learnt about him a bit more yesterday in the history. That was very moving, that history of AA. I learnt what it is to be an alcoholic, how an alcoholic functions, our personality type, what we do, how we operate in the world. And it was a revelation to me, because it was like, oh yeah, I do that, I do that, I do that. And when I left, they said to me, we did steps 1 to 3 in that week. I was only allowed to be there a week. So we went through and did steps 1 to 3. And they said, you have to find a higher power. And I was an agnostic at that point. I was a cerebral person. I was at university doing a master's or whatever, trying to anyway, when I was so drunk. And so I decided, I created my own higher power. Like I needed a handle on it that fit my idea. I didn't want a patriarchal sort of grey beard guy in the sky. So I invented a beautiful, powerful goddess that would hold me in, because I didn't have a very loving mother. So this was a lovely image for me to have of this goddess who would hold me in her arms and look after me. And in McKinnon they said, because I didn't want to go home, I was too scared. I felt like I was about 2. And they said, take your higher power with you, or send your higher power on the bus before you get on the bus. That so helped me for the rest of that year, because I really felt like I was about 3 or 4. I did that. I put my higher power ahead of me. And I remember my first meeting at St. Stephen's, lunchtime meeting in Sydney, and I saw the Serenity Prayer on the wall. And I just thought, oh my God, what a way to live. That's amazing. And I went to my first meeting while we were in McKinnon, and a woman stood up and said my story. Isn't the higher power amazing? Got me out of that toilet, got me into McKinnon, saved my life in RPA, got me back into McKinnon, and taught me about a higher power that has not left my side 1 minute in nearly 46 years next month. So thank you for... Before I go, I just want to stress that the steps are so important. If you're in AA and you haven't done the steps yet, they are the answer. Get yourself a sponsor, do the steps, you will discover yourself. That's a most wonderful journey. Thank you.
Marco from the Sunshine Coast. Thanks for answering the text, "Are you in the room?" which was really good.
Hey friends, my name's Marco. I'm an alcoholic. Sobriety date's the 15th of March 2009, and my home group's doing the deal meeting Thursday, Cotton Tree, 12:30. Yesterday when we were listening to the old timers and the numbers that I've heard, the 40 years and the 45 years, and I thought, wow, 16 years and I'm still a newcomer. And that's good. That's beautiful. So thank you to the old timers who keep turning up, because that's what this is about, to see their passion. And yeah, there's a part of me that's excited about being at an AA convention, and if you told me that a number of years ago that that's where you would be, and that you're probably going to turn out being the person you once despised, I would have thought that's crazy. I'm not going to AA, and my miracles in recovery, as I reflect on that, probably threefold is I'm the only alcoholic in my family. I've discovered we've got a lot of ism, but that's their stuff. So the first miracle is that I turn up in AA. I come through the doors. Because the big book describes me. I'm able, intelligent, friendly, and in most areas of my life, I've got a bit of responsibility. I can earn a feed, but when it comes to the drink, I've got no responsibility, right? In fact, I don't want to be responsible when I'm on the booze, and I've just got that chaos. And my own story was that I didn't lose much materially, because I simply hadn't gained anything materially. I was quite young when I came into the rooms, and I hadn't got a wife, I didn't have the children, I didn't have the house, I didn't have the cars. I lived at home, paid mom and dad a couple of bucks board, and then I just lived this hedonistic life. But what I lost was my mind. I lost my identity. I lost my integrity. I lost my truth. I lost my values, And so to come into AA was the first miracle, because I didn't think that you could be an alcoholic at the age of 28. I thought you had to be a homeless man, age 60, living in a park. And that kept me out there for a long time, And the second miracle of recovery is that I stayed, because I've seen over my own experiences that very few people stay, as I've seen. A lot of people come in, they kind of go, I've got a problem with the grog. And you say, please keep coming back. And very few you see again. And then I reflect on the third, the next. So I come and I stay. And then the next miracle for me is that I become teachable. Because I knew everything when I was drinking. I knew everything. And so I get to that point, and I get desperate enough in my mental insanity that I get a sponsor, I get a home group, I get a service position, I start to do the steps. Because in my experience as well, I've seen a lot of people come into the rooms, they stay, and I'm not commenting on whether it works for them, but they just don't drink and go to meetings. And I tried that for a couple of years, and I went crazier. So anyone who is new in, jump in, and get stuck in, get a sponsor, and echoing what other speakers have said, I got to understand the true nature of my illness. And I discovered, despite everything that I thought I knew, alcohol's not my problem. And I thought I had a drinking problem, and I put the grog down and I'm physically sober and I go crazier. And then they tell me, yeah, but your illness centers on the mind. How do you get some emotional sobriety? How do you clean the mind up? And that's where the steps have come into my life, And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that, because I've had a chance now, just to finish on that, go full circle from punching Dad in a drunken rage to being there when he passed away, or not at his bedside, but leading up. And now Mom's got her dementia, and I had all these plans about traveling and semi-retiring and blah, blah, blah. And God's got, maybe you need to look after Mom, you know, and she's 82 and she's getting deafer and she's losing her mind. But I'm able to be there and be reliable. And the other day she said to me, and this was a lady who would have spent many, 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 many nights wondering where I was. And I went down to visit her, and she said, "Oh, Marco, you're a little bit late, you're 5 o'clock today." And then she said, "But you know, Marco, I knew you would come today because you always come when you say you're going to come." And I thought, wow, you know, that's AA, because I used to disappear for days. So thank you very much for letting me share.
Nikki, would you like to share?
Hello, happy birthday. Hi, my name's Nikki, I'm an alcoholic. I'm really grateful to be sober and to be at this convention. I didn't know if I was able to come because I've had all these health issues, and you know, my higher power wants me here and I want to be here, so it's really good. I'm looking forward to the cruise tonight. One alcoholic talking to another, that's what the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is about, and there's just so much scope for that this weekend. It's really beautiful to be here. The miracle of recovery is that I don't have to obliterate my consciousness with alcohol or any other substance today. And I couldn't not do that. Just thrilled to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
you. Is Barry here? He was up the back. No, he's not. Okay. Gentleman with the beard who's sitting on the end of the row there. Wonderful. Great beard.
Thank you. Gosh, I'm Leighton, I'm an alcoholic. It's great to be here, and it's certainly a miracle that I'm here. I was just sitting thinking before. I got sober in New Zealand in 1998. I got sober in a town of about population of about 300. I think they've had a population expansion. There's now about 450. And yesterday I was sitting and listening to the early members, hearing about them, and I loved hearing about Wally, because when I was a little boy, I didn't fit into that town. Someone talked about being a bogan. I think it was the bogan capital of the world that I was living in. And I wanted to be a hairdresser, but I loved hearing about Wally because he was a window dresser. And I thought my problem from the young age was that that's what I wanted to be. And I wasn't allowed to be a hairdresser because my parents said that they all end up being gay. The problem with that was that the train had probably left the station. I found a great freedom being here this weekend because I live in Perth, and I find myself holding back a bit because I can be a little bit homophobic, which is, you know, ironic. But I just feel this freedom. I, for so long, hated myself and felt so ashamed. I went to 9 schools, and I left school at 14, and I'd been sent to a boarding school. and it didn't work for me. And I was drinking by then, and I was sent to a psychiatrist, and they agreed that I could stay at the school, but I had to reorientate myself. And the psychiatrist asked me if I was a practicing homosexual, and I was 14, and I hadn't had much time to practice. But anyway, my drinking started when I was 11, and by the time I was 17, I knew I was in big trouble. And it was around the time of HIV and AIDS, and it was a horrible, horrible time. But the miracle for me is that I got to get out of that jungle and find sobriety and find Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm so grateful for that. I said the words when I was 27 to my alcoholic mother, I think I need to do something about my drinking. And something was very different about that moment, and I knew that if I didn't do something or something didn't happen, I wouldn't probably be alive today. And she got sober about 2 years after I did, and her name was Andrea Allison, and so her initials were AA. And I always think grace is always hiding. And she'd nursed a father that had cirrhosis of the liver, and I'm the only sober person throughout the generations that I know of, and that's an incredible miracle for me. So from where I was in Clyde in Central Otago in 1998 to where I stand today, I have a life way beyond my wildest dreams. So thank you for asking me to share.
Thank you. The lady with the black cardigan and the glasses, I thought, yeah. Oh, thank you very much. The lady in the cap on the right-hand side. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am a grateful member of Al-Anon. I've only been to 5 meetings, so it's kind of weird. I'm not going to try to impart my wisdom to all of you. I'm in the eye of the storm at the moment because my husband is an alcoholic. He doesn't know it yet though. So the reason I've come up is I'm wondering if you could give him a call and tell him to get his shit together. That'd be awesome. Feeling a bit nervous. Got 2 young kids. He's an ex-athlete, professional athlete. I'll try to detach from the emotion. He waited 6 years for us to have children, for me to be ready to have children. He said I was born to be a dad and constantly told me that. And since having children, I think this is my opinion, a lot of his childhood trauma has come up because he was quite physically abused when he was younger. And I know deep down he loves his children very much and I want to see him get better. But Al-Anon has helped me so much already because it's helped me to focus on myself and not try to fix him and just let him be and go on his own journey. And for me not to try to control him because of course I'm perfect, you know. Nothing wrong with me, I'm amazing. So I just hope that he gets the help and that I get the help, and I've just felt this love and support from my Al-Anon family and I feel very unalone. And I'm just overwhelmed with emotion because of the sense of camaraderie that you get in this space. And I'm very appreciative to everybody here and for listening and for sharing because I learn a lot. And it really does give me hope, everything that you guys have said, that he might find a way back to us. So thank you.
The gentleman down the front. Yeah, Ta.
brother. Hi everyone, I'm Paul, alcoholic and addict. Miracles, it's a miracle I'm standing here sharing. My drinking and addiction took me to places that I never thought I'd go. I started drinking, I was a 70s baby, so my parents used to give me tastes of alcohol when I was very young. So by the time I picked up drinking at the age of 10, it grabbed hold of me pretty quick. But I wasn't able to admit that I had a problem with drinking until only a few years ago. It took me to, led me to drugs, led me to selling my soul to the devil. I did things that I never thought I'd ever do. I hurt people very close to me. I destroyed a 20-year marriage. I've lost my kids. I'm only just getting to speak to them now after about 5.5 years. And yeah, I did rehab and everything, and it wasn't working. I'd go into rehab, I'd do relapse prevention. I'd come out, I'd feel great for a couple of months, and then I'd just go downhill. It wasn't until November last year, I was in rehab again. And one of the girls in the group with me said, look, I think you'd benefit from AA. And I walked into Carrying Bar Unity Group, and I haven't looked back. It's changed my life, the way I look at life. It's just changed everything about the fact that I'm the ability to come to a convention like this and be able to share my story and maybe help someone else is great. I've been able to regain control of my life, get some sanity back, and understand why I did what I did. Understand that there was this deep-seated traumas and stuff that I was just trying to cope with from a very early age. And now knowing and being able to deal with that and finding a higher power, that's a miracle in itself. It's really funny because my story is I ended up on the streets, and I was in Hyde Park drinking with a guy. I'd stolen some scotch because we didn't have any drink, and we were sitting there drinking together, and he suggested I probably should go to AA. And I was like, it's a bit hypocritical, but he was the one who planted the seed of a higher power. He told me, I believed in the devil so much, I shook hands with him, looked him in the eye, I sold my soul to him. And this guy said to me, he goes, look, the park bench over there, someone created that? I was like, yeah. He goes, so you've got to understand, something's created everything. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll agree with you there. He goes, so just believe in that. When we parted ways, he said, when you get desperate and you feel like there's no way out, he said, just get on your knees and pray. And he goes, I promise you things will change. I've never seen this guy again, ever. I've lived around the city. Thanks, man. I've lived around the city. I know most of the homeless people around here. I've seen them around. I've talked to them. I've never been able to find this guy again. A couple of days or maybe a week later, I got to that point. I got down on my knees and prayed, and everything started to change from there. I got clean. I had a fair bit of clean time up. My mum passed away. I slipped. And I believe there's a miracle because I now share the sobriety date of Dr. Bob, 10th of June, 2023. But everything's become a miracle. I've actually changed my religion to Islam so that I pray 5 times a day. I don't drink alcohol because it's no good for me. But I believe that if I pray 5 times a day, in between those 5 times, I can't make many mistakes, and it keeps me very honest and keeps me very present. And yeah, thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity to chair this meeting and to listen to your stories and to come from a position of hopelessness and the miracle that is the recovery from the position of hopelessness and of our own drinking and then perhaps someone else's drinking. We will make that phone call to your husband. But on page 25 of the book, it tells us that there is a solution. And almost none of us like the self-searching, the levelling of our pride, the confession of shortcomings, which this process requires for its successful consummation. But we saw that it really worked in others, and we had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we'd been living it. So when therefore we were approached by those in whom the problem had been solved, there was nothing left for us but to pick up the simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We have found much of heaven, and we have been rocketed into a 4th dimension of existence of which we had not even dreamed. The great fact is just this and nothing less, that we have had deep and effective spiritual experiences which have revolutionised our whole attitude toward life, toward our fellows and toward God's universe. The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. He has commenced to accomplish those things for us which we could never do by ourselves. Thank you, everyone. We finish the meeting with a serenity prayer. To a God of your own understanding, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.